Hi guys, so recently sent in a box of lovely sprues by a lovely chap called Jean from Lubeck. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing anything, I can barely speak English. Sent me a lovely little letter, some few details in this, but he also sent me 2 metal orcs, which are just fantastic. So yeah, lovely little surprise because I didn't know these were coming. Look like they're missing a few little bits, but that's fine. I did look in the box, couldn't find anything else. But yeah, this chap, I absolutely love him so much. Well, that's why I'm doing a video of me painting him, because I think he's absolutely awesome. Love how he looks and the fact that he's made of metal, so a nice bit of weight to him. But as well as that, it reminds me of my early days of when I started doing miniatures back in the early 80s, 83 I think it was, when I used to play D&D. So yeah, many metal figures were painted then. So as you can see, yeah, I found a little sword from my bits box, shoved that on him, and then obviously we're going to do the slap chop style here. So as you can see, primed him in black, and now I'm going to do some dry brushing with white. Got my little textured dry brush palette there, and a good old brush from Green Stuff World. Any kind of brush will really do for this. I will say though, with the white paint, you want to get a decent white paint. I've used cheap whites in the past, and they're just too watery, so you don't really get a good coverage. So yeah, definitely go with a decent white paint, and as you can see, I'm using the good old Army War Paint range paint. So yeah, primed him all over, looks really good, but then I wasn't too sure about the sword, so I went online, couldn't find any pictures of him. You lovely guys told me who he was, and the fact he's meant to be holding an axe. So as I want to make him look, well, more like how he was originally looking, yeah, I thought it was worth taking the time to take off the sword and put an axe on. But as well as that, the base, rather than a round base, the old figures, they had square ones. So again, 3D printed one of them, and I want to try and keep this guy, well, looking exactly sort of how he looked, well, when he was first made many moons ago. So that's him all primed and dry brushed in white, and now the other easy job of just painting him. So using a good old combination of dipping inks and speed paints. So I'm going to paint him green, and as you can see, yeah, got a variety of greens there. One of my favourites is Ghillie Dew. Do love this one, and you will see a lot of my orcs painted in this just because, yeah, it's a nice looking green. So paints go on really well. I must admit, when I first started painting these miniatures back in 83, I don't think I painted many, and I definitely don't think I ever primed any of them. I'm sure whatever paint I was using, I painted straight over metal. So the chances are, yeah, that paint's rubbed off. I know I do still have, it's about 2 or 3 miniatures from my early days that I've got. Where they are right now, that's another question. I should really go and try and dig them out. Just to say, these metal figures, I love the look. They seem to have more character sometimes than the newer looking ones. Plus I do love the weight of them. The fact that when you pick them up, there's substance there. They're not obviously lightweight plastic. So say painting them, yeah, you'll notice all the paints I've got, whether it's the dipping inks or the speed paints, one of the first things I always do, and that is I paint the lid. But not just painting the lid, I slap chop paint the lid. So all of these lids were primed in black, then dry brushed white, and then painted, well, with whatever sort of paint is in the pot. Just so then you get a real true sort of look of what the colour's going to look like on your miniature. Most of the paints, I will say, they do look how they look on the sort of the cover. There are a few, I can never remember which ones, but there's one of them, it looks like it should be a very light brown, even a cream, but when it comes out, it is more like a dark brown. So yeah, definitely get the lids sorted. So for his armour, rather than doing bog standard silver, which is kind of my go-to, because, well, it's armour plate, I decided to go with this colour. This is one of my favourite colours. I love orange, and this one, you get variations of orange, brown and yellow. So the one thing, guys, I will say, if you're used to using army paint or speed paints, and then you try the dipping inks, the dipping inks they're a lot more fluid. So you do need to be careful because you can load your brush up with too much paint, like I almost did there really. So as you can see, yeah, I put loads on, but then you kind of push it all around. So that's the one big difference in the 2 paints, as well as the price. I'll have to say, dipping inks so much cheaper than the Army Painter speed paints. Don't quite have the big range of Army Painter paints, but yeah, if you're going for value for money, definitely cheaper. But yeah, great coverage. Again, there's not a lot of difference between the 2 of them, other than the preference you'll have One might do a better green than the other, or a better red, or whatever. But yeah, application wise, say the dipping inks are a lot more fluid, but when they dry, yeah, they all look awesome. And I say that orange, I use that for quite a lot of things, just because I do love the variation. In parts of it look orange, parts can look yellow, and other parts brown. All depending on how thick it is you're putting it on, and obviously how white it is underneath. But yeah, so this guy, absolutely love how he looks, love how he's obviously coming along. I'd say there's only one picture I could find of this chap online. I know obviously Google is sort of a good place to go and find things, but yeah, only one image I could find of this. Very, very low res, so I couldn't quite make out the colours. But one thing they did have was a green base. Not just the top of the base, but all around the edge. So that's one thing I wanted to recreate and do exactly the same. I was going to try and do him exactly the same as how he looked, but as I say, I really just couldn't see much in the way of the colours that were being used. That and the fact, obviously, I love speed paints. Speed paints are awesome, and they can take any kind of painter, like me, and turn me half decent. Obviously, you never win any awards or anything, but yeah, you can definitely get your miniatures tabletop ready in no time at all. So as you can see, yeah, using the Army Painter sort of silver speed paint here, although this really goes on almost too well. It doesn't sort of get the differences in the lighter and the darker sort of shades with this. So whenever I do use the Army Painter metallic range, I generally go over the whole thing with a wash at the end. I mean, I probably could try and thin this down in some way with some sort of medium, just to make it a bit more sort of transparent, I guess. But other than that, say the metallic range really does go on really, really well. But yeah, go over it with a wash afterwards, job done really. So the other thing I did notice on the one that I did see, and that is he had the old checkered pattern on his sort of front plates, I guess. And to make it easier for me to do this, yeah, I'm going to do it, well, mark it out first. Otherwise, I end up doing white squares, black squares, and then I'll just keep messing about, going over it, making the whites bigger, the blacks bigger. Generally, I would do this in pencil. For some reason, I couldn't find a pencil, so I'm doing it in a fine pen. Although, to be honest, I probably could have just painted these squares in using this fine pen. Don't know why I didn't, but yeah, I use this Max Staff, the blackest black paint from Green Stuff World. And yeah, just use this to block it all in. Obviously, nice and easy to block it in because obviously I've got lines to kind of follow. Obviously, it definitely is easier though, or better if we do pencil rather than the black pens, just in case well, you mess up. But luckily, as you can see, yeah, my hands weren't too shaky at all. And yeah, some nice little checker patterns, as obviously this is something you generally see on a lot of orcs, so it's good to sort of get these in on his little armor bits. And then yeah, only a few more bits to do here really, so he's pretty much done. Not too many colours in this little orc. So for his little well, I don't know what they are, little furry bits around his boots, yeah, just gone for a pallid bone, even though obviously the pallid bone, well, you'd normally use for bone. And the fact that when I'm putting this on, it's almost like I was putting on a wash. There wasn't a lot of difference really, but it looks reasonably good. And then the last little bit before I do a wash, that's he's only got a few straps that are seen, so I'm doing this kind of like very light brown. And yeah, so I love how he looks. There's not a lot of colour in him. I know a lot of the orcs I do paint, I try and get as much colour in as I can, because well, orcs are fun, because you can make them as colourful and as garish as you like. So a little bit of a medallion on this dude, and yeah, I thought I'd make it nice and simple, go over the whole thing with gold. Again, the metallic speed paint gold goes on a treat, but almost too much, too well. And then to finish him all off, yeah, I'm going to go over all the metallic areas and his teeth, because obviously they're far too clean, with a nice sort of light brown wash, as I do prefer the brown washes over black. I find the black just makes things look dirty, whereas the brown, yeah, I think it makes things look aged, which is much better and definitely how I prefer it. So going over all the bony bits, all the skulls and all that sort of stuff, yeah, they can have a little bit of this. And then as I say, I'm going to, well, I don't think I did actually. No, there's armour. I was going to go over the armour. Didn't do it over the armour, but did do it over the weapons. And there we go. Yeah, one lovely orc from the 90s. Absolutely love this chap. He is now going to be my favourite orc, even though obviously I love all orcs. So whenever I make things and build things, this is the orc I'm going to use for the old scale and size comparison, as I absolutely love him. So guys, I've got loads of sprues now. No need to send me any more. I've got quite a few boxes. There will be some more sprue videos coming, but obviously they do take a lot longer. Plus I really missed painting miniatures. So you are going to see some painting of miniatures because I absolutely love doing that. If you like what I do, don't forget that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell as I do produce 1 or 2 videos a week, sometimes more. Big shout out and thank you to all my lovely patrons for helping support the channel. Really does mean so much to me. There's another video on the screen, guys. Give that a click, see what I do. Like, share, subscribe, leave comments, all that fun stuff. See you in the next one. Bye for now.